When we thought that the raspberries on the plot had died, we started to collect quite a few new canes. Some we only got yesterday, and others we've had quite a while. We really need to get them planted, but today's not exactly the best day for doing that, and we do have to get the bed ready first. So what we've decided to do is brave the elements and go down to the allotment and sort out the bed where the raspberries are going to go. So I'll see you a little bit later when we get down there. Here we are back at the allotment on a very different day. It's quite cold today, but there is one task that we really need to get on with, and that's preparing and planting up our new raspberry bed. So let's wander down to the area where we're having the bed. It's situated next to the compost heaps. We decided that this was a good place to grow the raspberries, as lots of the other types of plants like brassicas seem to fall foul of slugs. So we're hoping that maybe the raspberries will do better. So first job that Martin's doing is setting out some weed control fabric, which I better give him a hand with, so I'll come back to you when we've a little bit more to show you. We've now got the fabric in place, and it's temporarily being held down by planks of wood while we can manage to get it covered with wood chip, which should then hold it quite firmly. So again, I'll come back and we have a little bit more to show. So the fabric's just about covered with wood chip now. Just a little bit at the end still to do. The fabric hasn't come right up to the compost heaps, so we're intending putting some plastic down that edge to try and smother the grass and also stop anything creeping out from under the compost. Got a rose at the back there which I've tried to cut around. And the next stage, once we've got all the wood chip down and all the fabric covered, will be to cut a section where we can plant the raspberries. At the moment, Martin's just getting another barrow load of wood chippings. Well, here's Martin now with another barrow load of wood chippings. How many barrow loads is that?
6, I think.
6?
Yeah.
Is that including the one I did?
No.
6.5 then.
I'll get one more and I'll have a drink.
So now I basically got to rake it out a little bit, and after that we're going to have a coffee. So we'll come back again when we've something more to show. We've now covered the bed with wood chip. We've had a cup of coffee, and the next step was to staple some black plastic to the wood from the compost bin, and that's been tucked under the weed control fabric, and now that's going to be covered with wood chippings too. The next stage has been completed. We've stapled plastic sheeting to the side of the compost bin, and the whole thing has been covered with weed control fabric, and then on top of that we've got the bark chips. I have to say it's not exactly been easy because it's very windy and freezing cold, even though it's April, but we are sticking to it, and the next stage will be to cut the channel in the fabric to plant the raspberries through. So we'll get back again later. So another stage has been completed. A channel's been cut into the weed control fabric. It's been folded under just so that there isn't a frayed edge showing, and the same at the other side. And now Martin's hammering the posts in. So still a way to go, but it's starting to look a bit more promising. So now all the posts are in, and Martin's measuring where to drill the holes in the posts, because what we do is we thread the wires through holes in the posts rather than tying them to the posts. So the next job will be a bit of drilling. We're putting 2 wires in each post. Yeah. 2 wires, I should say, all along. It's freezing cold now, and the wind's blowing and battering everything. There's it's only one other person on the site. How mad are we? So now it's a case of drilling through the posts, 2 holes to each post. I will leave Martin to get on with that. We'll come back in a few minutes. So the top wire is in, and now Martin's threading the second wire through the holes. We're just having 2 wires because we find that's plenty to fasten the raspberries to. And so once that's finished, I reckon it'll be time to go home, because it really is cold today. So we'll come back later, another day, when we're planting the raspberries. It's been 10 days since we erected the fencing for the new raspberries, but since then the weather has been rather cold, well, very cold. We've actually had some very frosty nights, and so we decided that we'd hang on planting the raspberries until the weather improved. So today we're going to start planting them. Just have a look at what we've got. We've got several varieties. This one is Cascade Delight. That's Cascade Delight as well. I'm not sure what this is because the label's got buried. That one's Glendy. That's Marling Tuna. And the last one, is Marling Admiral. What we have to do now is get them planted. I'll come back when we've done that and show you how things look. One lot of raspberries have been planted. We've worked out that to get all the raspberries in that we've bought, we need to plant 5 between each of the posts, which might be considered to be a bit close together, but we've had them this close in the past and they've fruited well. The next lot of raspberries are going in now. So first of all, we're going to have a trench dug, which is what Martin's doing now. Between the two posts. Yeah. Is that just compost? Right. So into the trench is some 6X fertiliser. I can smell it's not just compost. Is that the one? Oh no, it has got some growth, that one, hasn't it? So then the raspberry canes are positioned. Been growing in the tubs in the greenhouse since, well, since February. I think these were the first ones we bought, weren't they? Yeah, there's just the one that
it's growing, look at the bottom.
Alright, that one we weren't sure whether it was growing or not, but when I scratched the cane it did have green underneath, and Martin says he can notice that it's growing at the bottom. So they're all taken, aren't they?
Yeah.
Well, all that variety.
Right, so they're going this way.
Those for the next trench. So we're having 3 trenches of this variety, aren't we?
Yeah.
Because this is the one that we've got most of. I think, are there 12? No, there's more than 12. 15 canes. So canes in position, and then it's backfilled. Shall I hold that for you?
Yeah, got it.
Now each of the spaces between the posts will be treated in the same way, so I'm not going to film all of it. So now I'll go and get a can of water and water them in, and I'll come back when they're all done just to show you how it looks. The raspberries are all planted now. We've got just over 30 in this row. I think there's about 32. Some of them are further on as far as shooting than others. And just so we know which variety is which, we've labelled each post to show what variety is grown to its left. These are the ones we got first, and they're quite well advanced. And as we move along, these are the last ones we bought, and as you can see, there's not an awful lot of sign of life on those yet. But if you do look very, very closely, there are some shoots, and if you scratch at the stem with your nail, it is green underneath, so we're hopeful. The other thing that we've decided is that we'll probably put another line of wire in, so we'll have 3 lines of wire, another one lower down, and then as the plants grow they can be tied in. Don't really expect a lot from them this year. We'll just have to see how they do. And if you want to see how we get on with them, if you keep an eye on our plot tours, I'm sure they'll feature in some of them at a later date. So for now, thanks for watching. Bye.